Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Prophet 74. Today, I bring the OMEN 30L. Now, this one has an awesome video card. It says 3080 RTX 3080 video card in here. We're going to take it apart. We're going to see if it's even worth it. We're going to take the motherboard. We're going to pretty much disassemble the whole thing, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So first of all, let me go over a couple of little details in here and then see if it's even worth buying one of these. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's take a look at the Omen. This machine is actually a beast. It is pretty heavy, so I'm gonna put the weight here on the description. If you want to ship this out, it's gonna be a little heavy duty. Across from it, from point to point, we're looking at 16 and a half. All right. Standing up, we're gonna see 17 inches. All right. It's about thickness is going to be around 6.5 from thickness. So everything's well compressed, well modified, so it could take a lot of more of beating, I would say. Now they did concentrate more of the water pump. Now this is a little hot because we did a little couple of tests and we can see, I don't know if it's the LED lights, the RGB lighting that gets it hot, but it's more of the water cooling in, and it's an i9 that it's pumping from one little small radiator. We might have to upgrade this on the line, so to a larger radiator to maybe cycle the water a little bit cooler, because it's a little hot and I just didn't perform any benchmarks on it. Now under pressure, that's when the GPU is going to kick in, when you're going to be playing games and other stuff like that. So I wouldn't worry too much, but make sure you completely clean this machine often. It has a lot of vents to suck in the air. So it sucks in the air here. All right, let's take this sucker apart. And we're going to start with the power first. The power goes out. Of course, we got the 12 pins, and this is very important. It's for the CPU. Before we take the power, you actually have to make sure you tuck in the back. And I'm going to show you some details in here. We're going to go over little details thoroughly on this. We're going to take everything apart so you guys can see it from the ground up. So we're going to take the bridge out, and we're going to start with the GPU. All right, we're going to start with the GPU, and we're going to put this back after. But first of all, let's get rid of this part first. Yeah, take this part is you got to lift up. You got to lift it up because there is a couple bridges here. If you guys see it, they actually lock in. So just, once you remove these screws, you lift it up. All right. Now let's get rid of this part. There's only 2 screws in here. Move it on. And they look like they're all universal screws, so that's not bad. Okay. There we go. Straight up. Video card comes out. GeForce. 3 fans. Has a lot of cooling area in here. Not that bad. Not RGB lighting. It just lights up one color and that's it. First of all, you have your RGB lighting controller on the corner. Let me see if I can move this a little bit more. You got your RGB light controllers here on the right hand corner, on the bottom corner here, if you guys can see it. It is going to require a SATA connection for power. That's very important. Don't forget to connect this. This is one thing that you want to make sure you have this control so it can control all your devices. If you don't have this connected, it's not going to power any of the stuff in here. You have a couple other RGB lighting connections in here. If you guys can see it, this one, you can follow them through. This is one of the fans, RGB lighting controls in here. And it tells you right there, this is going to be at 12 volts, right? Now, on top of that, you have a NIC card, which is your wireless and your Bluetooth. It's right located here. The wiring itself goes on the other side. If you guys can see it, that goes on the other side. And you got to make sure you connect that back when you plug this in. So another thing, the SATA controllers, there's only 2 of them. One is actually a loose one in case you have one, which is they're located right here, right next to it. And the secondary is connected on the second hard, which is the hard drive right now that we're running, the mechanical drive, the Toshiba drive. And this is a 2 terabytes in here. Memory, we're going to take the memory apart. Remember that we have DIMM 4, DIMM 1 through DIMM 4, right? 2, DIMM 1, and DIMM 3 are the only default ones. You have to set them up. To open them up, very simple. You open both sides. Take them out. Take the DIMM card. This is an HP memory. It's HyperX. And it's a DDR4 memory that we're talking about. RGB lighting connected. And right now we're going to take the hard drive out. We want to make sure that we don't damage this one. So we're going to disconnect this one. This one, you clip it together, and you lift. We're going to keep it as is so we don't have to damage it. Oh, I found something. So there's a screw down at the bottom of the feet. Let's do that. Let's take out the screw. Okay. There we go. That actually did it, but you got to be careful because there's this glass, if you guys can see it. Let's get rid of the CPU. I'm going to use a flathead for that one. When you hear that little clicking, that means it has let go of the screw. Anyway, I think we got it. So we're going to twist it a little bit. There we go. Nice and slowly. If you guys can see it, just took it out. I'm going to try to clean this much because we don't want to drip any of the wipe. So we're going to put this on the side here. We'll clean the bottom part a bit. You guys can see it. Copper. A little difficult here because these are the long screws. Let me zoom out a little bit. Got the fan. This is the fan. Look at the short connection on the fan. Really short, so it's really tight. That one goes in there, right there. All right, the fan. Now the radiator. We're gonna get rid of the radiator. Let me move this a little bit down. It's getting lighter. There's 4 screws in there. They're very distinguished from the other ones. Where we got that one, and these are also not universal, but they're a little thicker, and you can also find out a little thicker ones. If you guys can see, if this is for the fan. So we unplug all of them already. We have already remove a couple of them, and this one only has 2 screws, so we're gonna take the radiator off after. You guys can see it, but there is a cable connected to married to it, and we can't pull it out until we actually disconnect it. So we're gonna have to disconnect that fan. This is RGB lighting connection. If you guys can see it, we're disconnecting this one. We're gonna disconnect these two. If you guys can notice, they're marked. They're marked. One's in black and one's in white, and they're labeled too. All right, so they have a label. There's the other one. So we got them, and this is basically just locked down. All right, we're gonna keep it intact. There's A and B, and they're black and white. Right, they're right here. Just push them down. That's all you got to do on that one. So now we're gonna be able to dismantle this part right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's take out the motherboard. All right, let's go ahead and review a couple of things what you get on the actual system, including these fans. So this is pretty much the inside of the machine. We're missing one more fan, and that's part of the chassis. So we're gonna set it up right now. We might connect the rest of the fans and keep them in the chassis together too. But right now, I want to talk to you about the motherboard itself. All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about 24 pins, USB. If you can see it, 3.0 right here. You have pins for USB, and then you have your NIC card right here in the corner, if you can see it. Now they do give you an extra slot for an SSD, and this is a second slot. I'm going to open the second slot right now, and it's ready built already, and it's missing the screw. That's the only thing, because the screw is actually here. It comes with the cover itself. So, and it comes with the actual mount already, and this is like a thermal tape, but it's a thick tape, all right? And that's where you actually set up the actual M.2, slide it in and put it down. So we're going to cover this back up and make sure that we don't lose the screw. Our CPU i9, if you can see it here, and it's indicating what it is. It's an i9 10850. We're not removing it. We're going to keep it as is in the actual motherboard. You have your memory slots, 4 of them, 1 through 4, and then, like I said, you have your main SSD. It's located right here, and it has a big, large radiator. If you can see it, let's go ahead and lock it. And on this one, you got to be careful because it's all together, right? So remove it, and if you can see it, it's all embedded in there. It's well secure and it keeps it cool. The whole actual system, if you can see it, very cool inside with an actual radiator. You can see the actual end of the actual M.2 NVMe, but it's embedded in there. You could slide it out, but I don't want to do that right now because it's sandwiched in with actually two thermal tapes sandwiched in the whole system. If you guys could see it, let me put it to you guys could see a little bit more. Nice little neat, real heavy motherboard, heavy duty. So you have 2 slots for actual SATA connections in here. Unfortunately, most of the motherboards give you 6 up to 4 to 6. You have extra connections for the RGB lighting, the power supply, and the power is actually right here for the power button. If you notice, it says PB. That's going to be the power button here, and everything's labeled in case you have to disconnect it and reconnect it. Well mounted. If you ever want to upgrade your actual water cooling system, you might have issues because if you notice, look how heavy duty they are. I think they're made only for the HP OMEN, so replacing the actual water cooling system was going to be a little difficult. You could replace the memory, you could add the secondary SSD slot, you could replace this one, and unfortunately they only gave you 1 slot for 1 PCIe, and that's about it. This machine is the same thing like other machines. You might have to use a USB 3.0 to convert to PCI, because if you ever want to do a streaming card or anything like that, this is not going to be possible. Again, HP is not adding those extra slots. For modules, people that want to do Bitcoin, you're only going to mining, you're only going to do it on 1 card, unfortunately. Now let's go ahead and go to the side of the actual motherboard. The actual motherboard has all these slots right here. We have the actual Type C connection in here, your Thunderbolt, and you have four standards, 2.0, and then we have 2 of the 3.0, and then your NIC card, and then your audio. Basically, this motherboard is really small, compact, nothing to actually add on here. It's made for HP OMENs, and now let's talk about the OMEN pump. The OMEN pump, like I said, this is really short. You can't probably replace this and put it in another machine. It's only made for this motherboard because they're cut really fine. Like this one's actually smaller than this one. It's shorter than this one. I like the actual pump. You could hear the water. You can hear the water in there. Really good. Copper base. To replace water is going to be a little difficult, but there's a little actual knob in here. You could actually add more of the liquid later down the line. So you can remove this or you can unplug it, and that you can do. I like that option. Some people were actually opening the bottom and refilling them from there. So after a couple years, if you see your temperatures rising, you might have to do 2 things. Replace the actual thermal paste, or replace the actual liquid inside. Now, and unfortunately, this machine requires 2 different connections, one for the RGB lighting, and it tells you right here, CN connection, and then your fan connection. All right. So one of the most difficult part, because you want to remove the power supply, is removing the other side of the panel. We're going to do that, and there's 1 single screw right there, if you guys can see it, that's holding the whole panel in the back. So removing that screw should give you access to the other side. So let's go ahead and do that. Once you remove that screw in the front, you just got to face. This is facing forward. It's right underneath the actual power cord. I just removed the screw. Well, that's your OMEN right here, all broken down to see what's in there, what's actually going to be upgraded. Unfortunately, a lot of things on this OMEN cannot be modified. Like I said, the water pump is really short. Even if you want to include yours, there's not enough room. The only room I see is probably right in the front of the glass, and to run a pump, you might have to cut some holes in and modify it. I've seen this where people modify their chassis, or they want to take this and actually place it to another desktop, another case. You can do that on this one. This actually has the actual right connections for that. The only thing I kind of hesitate on that is probably be the LED lights on top of the actual tower. That you might have to modify any machine that you're going to take this motherboard. So if you don't like the actual OMEN case, you can move this. I mean, everything in here is compatible with everything. And like I said, this is a Cool Master, including the power supply is a Cool Master. So we're going to go ahead and take that off too. So all this stuff can be modified and changed around. So it's not bad. So if you guys like what you guys see and you guys like stuff like this and breaking it down piece by piece, I like to do this with every machine I have, but unfortunately some machines I can and some I could. Now this one, I was given the opportunity to take it apart and put it in pieces, and you guys could see the actual solution, how to put it back together. Hopefully if you guys have any kind of problems disconnecting this kind of stuff, you can always use this video as reference, or you could give me your questions and comments right below. So if you guys like this stuff like this, let me know. I'm your host, Prophet74, and we're out.